when we talk about strategic planning for an organization, there are three things I want to say right at the beginning. Number one, strategic planning is simply trying to put into writing the dream and vision God has given an organization. So basically, the strategic planning process is a discovery process of what is it that God wants us to do, to be, to achieve. Because of that statement, it then means it's a prayer process. Because you are not about to be creative. You want to discover. I wrote a book for young people called Finding a Life Partner. And the other day I was confronted by a young person who said, "Hey, Brother Nganga, that was not a good title." I said, "What title did you want me to write?" "You should call it Choosing a Life Partner. I want to be the one who chooses. How can somebody else choose for me?" I said, the last choice you make as a Christian is the choice of Jesus Christ. After that, all future choices are made by Christ. That's why we call him a master. And so I explained to the person, however, if the Lord chooses a wife for you, she'll be a good one, because he is better at knowing than you are. Now, similarly, even as we come as an organization, we need to remind ourselves that God is the one who understands all circumstances, knows the future, knows the present, understands our weaknesses and our strengths. And so we need him. So strategic planning is simply a discovery process of what God wants. And because of that, it's a prayer thing. Number two, the consultant who comes to assist is a midwife. And when we were getting children, husbands were never allowed in the maternity place. But these days are here, husbands can go into the maternity place. But so I've never been inside the maternity, so I don't have a lot of experience. But I'm told midwives are the ones who help the woman to get the baby. However, the midwife is not a husband, is not a wife, plays no role in the baby, but assists the baby. That's who a consultant is in the strategic planning. He is not a part of the organization. Therefore, he is not the one telling you what to plan, how to do. No, he is a midwife. The baby belongs to you, not to him or her. So that needs to be understood. There's going to be a lot of work, not for the consultant, but for you as a group, in this discovery process of where God wants the organization to go. And that needs to be understood. However, there are organizations that would rather have the consultant write a document. The trouble is, if the document is written by the consultant, it will end up in the bookshelf. Because you see, there is no buy-in. That's what he told us. That's very theoretical. It can't happen. But you don't want anything to go into the document except that which, number one, you believe God is leading you that way. Number two, you are committed to obeying God in doing whatever it is that you have discovered he needs done. So the consultant, therefore, must be understood not to be part of the process. I think in chemistry, by the way, the last time I sat for a chemistry class is when I did my Form 4 exam in 1971. So I have not been in a chemistry class for 50 years. But I still remember something we used to call a catalyst. And you are told a catalyst is a substance that affects the speed of the reaction without becoming part of it. Gedua, you did chemistry after me, Gedua. Am I right? Or am I defining it correctly?
Yes, it is right.
I'm right. Oh, okay. So 50 years have not changed the facts. Now,
Yes.
so you need to see the consultant as a catalyst that can affect the speed of the reaction, but does not want to become a part of it. And I thought that's the second thing I wanted to say. Thirdly, and importantly, in the strategic planning process, is that until the document is ready, even your prayer, God tells you something. In the next session, tell us, we decided this, but for this and this and this reason, I feel we need to review it. So don't feel like it's final until it is final. So you'll be open for everybody. And in the strategic planning process, my last statement, there is no senior or junior. All of us are dreaming together because all of us will have a role to play in making the strategic plan a reality, in making sure that the strategic plan is actually activated. Similar to the name of the organization. There are those strategic plans that are kept in the bookshelf. There are those that are activated. And you cannot be called activate and look for a document that you put in the bookshelf. Okay, so I'm going to share the screen. And I want to describe what we are talking about in the strategic process. Many of you may already know it, but in order for us to sing from the same sheet in the hymn book so that we can be a good choir, let me repeat things that you already know about strategic planning, so that we all are talking about the same thing. The process, to tell you, is in phases. The first phase, which we are starting today, is called strategic context setting. Where are we? Who are we? Who are our neighbors? That's phase 1. Phase 2 is spending time assessing and investigating. Assessing the internal strengths and weaknesses, assessing the external threats and potential. Once we have done 1 and 2, we are ready to start planning. And we do in phase 3 what you call strategic reflection, thinking. Now that we have said that, where should we be going? Then you are now ready to start doing the actual formulation in stage 4. Stage 5 is not part of the plan, but needs to be discussed during the planning period about how do you ensure that what you have written in the document actually will happen. Monitoring and evaluation and reviews follow after the plan is agreed. But what is strategic planning? It's an important element in the process of strategic management and strategic thinking and strategic acting. Strategic management is a wider word. Strategic management means managing so that everything is not done for the sake of doing it. You are trying to meet a strategic intent. That means you may be this department, that department, but you are all working together with one strategic intent. But in order to do that, you need a strategic plan which is known by everybody. So we all have agreed, before we go into our small departments, we all are agreed on the general view of where we are going. Strategy comes from the Greek word strategos, meaning to lead an army into war. So you can see strategy is more of a military term. But to use simpler words, strategy is simply a course of action. In this course of action, there will be specification of resources required. So you can't say you have a strategic plan without thinking, what am I going to require? And you will say, in order to achieve the strategic objective, that these are the resources I require. Somebody has described strategy as a game plan or a means to an end. So the critical word you hear once you talk about strategic planning is a strategic intent, an end. And that's what we'll spend. I'm hoping today we will spend a lot of time talking about what the end game for this organization. So once you are clear about the strategic intent, the planning is establishing of objectives. In order to get that to that end, what objectives do I need to achieve? Then you talk about formulation and evaluation of policies, strategies, tactics, and even actions that would help us to achieve each of the objectives. So we go with the strategic intent, then we go to splitting it into several objectives, then we go under each policy to say, to achieve that objective, you put which policy, which strategy, which tactics, which actions. Obviously, once you're talking about this planning process, we can talk about long-term or short-term. Now, short-term are more operational things. What am I going to do this month? What am I going to do this week? What am I planning to do this? But long-term, we normally make it 4 to 5 years or even 10 years or 30 years. And it is very important to have the long-term view, because the long-term view is like a master plan. You have just bought a piece of land, 2 acres. If you don't have a master plan, you are going to put your toilet where your house should be. And it will be quite messy later trying to undo the toilet in order to build your house. So before doing anything in your 2 acres, you first of all have a master plan. Even if it will take you the next 30 years to activate the whole master plan, you will be leaving an open space, and people say, why is that space open? Because that's where the large church will be. Now, or that's where the church hall will be. That's what strategic planning is all about. The long-term give you the long-term view, things that may not even happen soon, but are required to happen if the long-term strategic intent is to be realized. When you come to objectives, which, and I've told you strategic intent is one, but it's split into various objectives. These are the ends or aims that an organization or function has. The end result of a planned activity. In other words, for any activity you do, there must be a reason why you are doing it. That reason is the objective. Objectives are 2 words in one, object and verb. So objective, in an objective, you must ask, what object? What will you get finally? Verb, what will you do to get it? So for example, reducing costs, that's an objective. Why is it an objective? Because the object is costs. The verb is reduce. So you need to be able to say what is the objective. Then before you can do any activity, you must always ask, what's the objective of that activity? Once the objectives are clear, you also need policies. These are broad guidelines for decisions, for decision making, that links the formulation of the strategy to its implementation. In other words, in order to carry out the objectives, we will carry them under the following policies. But below the policies, you need tactics. These are ways of using resources effectively and efficiently in the accomplishment of the organization's objectives. There are various tactics, and you choose the right one. Let me say a little about strategic management generally. Strategic management, like I said earlier, is defined as that set of decisions and actions which leads to the development of an effective strategy or strategies to help achieve corporate organizational objectives. You can tell whether any leader or manager is a strategic manager. Strategic managers never do activity for the sake of it. He will always tell you the reason we are doing this activity is because it will give us this objective. The reason we have this objective is because it helps us achieve our vision and mission in this way. It is the process of conceiving and securing the future of an organization or enterprise. So the whole strategic management is seeking to realize the future. The process of strategic management must therefore cause strategic thinking. and strategic action in order to secure the future of an organization enterprise. By the way, it sounds easy to say, but very few of us are strategic thinkers. If you're enjoying something, you don't have to have a reason for it. You just enjoy it. A strategic thinker doesn't just do something for pleasure or do something to enjoy. He narrows himself to only those things that have an addition towards his strategic intent. In summary, the process of strategic management must lead to the formulation and implementation of strategic plan to achieve the organization's objective. That's what really got. So if you have a strategic plan, but you don't have strategic thinking, you will not realize your goal. If you have a strategic plan, you have strategic thinking, but you don't have strategic management, there will be a problem. You need all of them, not simply a strategic plan. Let's say a bit about strategic thinking. Strategic thinking involves thinking deeply about a situation in order to have a better understanding of the situation. So strategic thinking means thinking deeply, not lightly. In strategic thinking, one first seeks to clear understanding of the particular character of each element of a situation. And then he makes the fullest possible use of the human brain power to restructure the elements in the most advantageous way to his strategic intent. I'm quoting Kenichi Omai in his book, The Mind of the Strategist, written 1982 in page 13. Good strategic thinking is based on fact and reality and is supported by rigorous analysis. So you're not a strategic thinker if you are not basing your thinking on something factual, not an opinion, but fact. But once the facts are clear and you are studying on facts, then your rigorous analysis will help you to understand which way to go. It's a combination of analytical methods and mental elasticity. It also requires imagination. You cannot be a strategic thinker and you don't have imagination. But then imagination without action is not strategic thinking. You need imagination and action, without which all your exercise would become useless. Let's now come back to the issue of objectives, which are needed in a strategic plan. Objectives are those ends or aims an organization seeks to achieve of existence by existing and operations. In other words, why does this organization exist? Now, once you give the reason why, then you'll be saying, these are the things we plan to achieve. Those are your objectives. The end game is this. Those are your objectives. In a broad sense, there are many different types of objectives, such as a mission is an objective, a goal is an objective, a strategy may be an objective, and of course the plan could be. What is referred to as a hierarchy of objectives. Many organizations pursue some objectives in the short run and others in the long run. Others may be medium range kind of objectives. It is important to be aware of the time duration of objectives. Whatever duration they must be, objectives must be smart. Having said objectives must be smart, and I am told I need to keep involving people. Mangu, Elisama, I just want to involve you. Can you unmute?
Yes, I can hear you.
How is the land of Ethiopia?
Oh, yes, I can hear you.
How is the land of Addis Ababa and Abyssinia?
I've not been to Ethiopia.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Oh,
don't know.
oh, so Hampton is the one from Ethiopia. You are talking from where?
I'm talking from Dadaab.
Oh, I apologize.
Dadaab.
I
But I'm initially from South Sudan.
Okay.
Yeah. But if you're asking for South Sudan, I can tell more about.
Okay. Okay. Now, anyway, have you ever heard of that objective need to be smart?
Yes.
What does SMART stand for?
SMART stand for
S for? I can't hear. Just try again.
Okay. Yes, S for smart. That means it stands for smart. Smart.
Okay. M for?
Measurable. Attainable.
Okay. Now,
attainable.
Thank you very much. That's very good.
Realistic and time-bound.
Okay. Joshua, do you want to contribute? Joshua, do you want to contribute?
Losha.
Oh, Losha, not Joshua. Losha. Please forgive me.
Yes.
Forgive me, Losha. I'm very sorry.
It's okay. Yeah, sorry. I'm just a bit late. I'm very, very sorry. I should have been earlier, as in on time. So I will contribute just a few minutes to give me time to sing.
I apologize, Losha. I was not aware you have just joined. That's very unfair of me. Now I better now stop picking people at random. Who wants to contribute on strategic plan? Okay then.
If that's how the speech leads you, it's fine.
Okay.
So
now.
I'll be on time.
Okay.
My side, my problem.
Thank you very much, Losha. Anybody contribute? We are saying in strategic planning, the one word we must remember is that anything we say, anything we target, we set must be smart. What do we mean?
We mean?
Yes, Julian.
We mean that the objective must be specific.
Specific?
Must be measurable.
Must be measurable.
It must be achievable.
Achievable.
It must be relevant and time-bound.
It must be relevant and time-bound. Well done. How do we clap in the in Rwanda? Okay, like that. Thank you. Well done, Juliana. What we are saying is that there is a very big risk in strategic planning to end up with anything that looks, that's a good one. Hey, I saw my cousin is in an organization and they are doing it. No. Number one, according to Juliana, you must be specific. If you say we are going to go high, what does high mean? You must say something specific. Now, number two, you must understand that it has to be measured. How will you know whether you achieved your plan or not? It must be measurable. And it must be achievable. If you make something that you cannot achieve, you will not work at it because you know from the beginning I can't achieve this. So it will be very, very, and then relevant means you must only say, once you have agreed on our vision and mission, there should not be any goal that is not relevant to our vision and mission. And time-bound means don't plan without saying by when are you likely to achieve. That's really what we are talking about. Objectives help coordinate decisions, because once you know the decision, once you know the goal and the objective, then it will be easier to make decisions, provide standards, and help define the organization in its environment. And that will be important. Having said all that in the introduction, we still have to answer the question: why should we do a strategic plan or a strategic review? Another one? If you have had one, why should we do another one? Let me answer my own question. If a strategic plan already exists, why do another one? Number one, there may be dissatisfaction with the status quo. You can see the way you are going, it will be difficult following the current plan to achieve what you want to really achieve. So the best thing is to review it. Or to maybe a lot of people are pulling in different directions. Everybody committed and they really want to work. If you can have a strategic plan, brings everybody together. We all think the same way. So one of the best ways of doing team building is doing a strategic plan together. So you can ignore the old one and do a new one, even if you don't improve a lot. The whole exercise helps to build a team, brings harmony. But the other thing is, maybe your current plan is okay, but it's become very expensive or resources are not there. You need to review the plan to see how to cut costs. Or maybe the plan is okay, but you need to increase efficiency and effectiveness. Or maybe what you are requiring is to innovate for growth in service provision. The technology, the assumptions you made initially have been overtaken by time. So you need to bring in new technology. Or maybe the reason why you are doing a new one is to address new demand in the area of operation. There are new requirements that were not envisaged when you are preparing the earlier plan. And maybe the laws have changed. The laws in the country have changed. You can't do the things the way you wanted because the law is different. If the law has changed, you still must exist. You still must carry out your objectives. You need a review of the strategic plan in order to ensure you fit into the legal framework. But sometimes the reason why you are going to have a new plan is because technology has changed so drastically. You really cannot continue existing unless you rethink again. You know, a new strategic plan will help you to better understand and articulate and cultivate a greater passion for the mission of the organization. Because that involvement of everybody means there will be a commitment. It will also give them a better understanding and more effectively serve in the local, national, international environment in which we are placed. Because the strategic plan will do an environmental study where we are operating. So you are able to serve your clients better once you understood the environment. A new plan will also help you to better understand present service and resources of the organization and help you assess your deployment of those resources. You know, if you do a plan, it will help you develop a vision or objective as a global, national, or local resource organization. And it may also help you to unite the strategic goals of various departments or business units within the organization. Because everybody brings everything to the table. So we are able to make them congruent. If the previous strategic plan has run its course, we need another one. Because if you plan for 5 years, and 5 years are ending in 2021 or whatever, you need another one. So during the final year of the current strategic plan, you need to start preparing a new one. So that by the beginning of the new year, organization year, you have a new plan. Changes in the market also could cause you to change. Market is saturated and it's like a bulk market, whatever. Now, if what you had assumed originally has changed, then obviously you need to change. And the other thing, there's something called growth curve. Organizations have a beginning, a growth, and then they reach a level where the productivity has plateaued. And if you continue that level and do nothing, you start going down, and the organization is dead within a certain period of time. So when when you can see you are just marking time, plateauing, it may be time to do another strategic plan so that you can get a new growth curve. Hence, there's a need to differentiate from the competition. For example, the reason you are doing strategic plan is to make yourself different from other people that are in the same ministry or in the same business. And that way you are able to create a niche to enable you pull out of the back mass of the market. In other words, everybody is doing the same thing. You need to do a strategic plan that helps you to be new, to rebrand, so that you are unique. You are not just one among many. Of course, in the process, you will change. But why change? To make or become different. To replace or exchange for another. To reform or to reorganize due to most of the previous strategies already done. They are finished. So you can't continue doing something that has already been accomplished. Some strategies that were in the current plan did not work. So you are looking forward as a way of replacing them. And also you are looking at replacing yourself in your market, repositioning yourself in the market. You can see things like in business, they talk about conferencing, competing with the 5-star hotels, whatever. You ask yourself, where do I want to place myself? Or do I want to handle small competitors? All those are questions you ask in strategic planning, but not necessarily in an NGO world or whatever. If you want to change from where you are and the way you are doing things to a new one, there is what we call strategy change cycle. Step number one is to initiate and agree upon a strategic planning process, which we are doing today. Once you have done that, it's to identify organizational mandates, which we will try to do today. Why do you exist? Number 3, we will need to clarify organizational mission and values. I don't know they will be able to accomplish that. Number 4, we will now need to do analysis. Assess organizational external analysis, external environment, look at the internal environment. That's what you call doing SWOT analysis. And that's part of what we shall do. That is so that we understand ourselves better and our environment better. I doubt that we'll be able to do it today. And then after that, once we fully understand ourselves and our environment, we can identify the strategic issues that now face us as an organization. And we will now be ready to formulate strategies to manage the issues that our analysis have shown. Thinking and acting are an integral part of whatever we are discussing, the whole process. The process is orderly. So we are not going to run around. We will ensure we are orderly. It will be deliberate. We are not being forced. It's something we want to do. And participative. That's why this meeting, we called everybody. Nobody needs to be told this is our plan. They need to feel this is our plan because I participated. I contributed. It requires a dominant coalition of the willing to sponsor and follow up to completion. So there needs to be willingness. You need to be in this willingly. It departs planning, but also acting is an important part of the strategic thinking orientation required in the whole process. What this means is that a core group of people in the organization must follow the process through in close consultation with all stakeholders. So we need people that are called change agents. And although we begin today with everybody, later we may need to call smaller groups of what we're calling change agents and change leaders to qualify to be in this smaller group representing the bigger group, you need to be a confidence builder who can make leaders of their followers. An effective change leader will work with the different people to help them to release the leader within themselves, and by so doing, diminish their anxiety. So if, for example, the people in Ethiopia select you, it's because they believe you can build confidence. You are a confidence builder. They trust you. And whatever it is you come up with, you sell it well enough for them to buy it. So you need to be a confidence builder. You also need to be multifaceted in that you can wear many faces and play many different roles. Remember, you are representing a group. So you must be multifaceted. This may mean tutoring and supporting some people and nagging others. You need to know how to deal with slow people, fast people. You must be multifaceted, means you can act in different ways. You also need to be trustworthy. What do we mean? You must be somebody who has sincerity in the actions. Whoever you are, people must trust you. People must believe that you as a leader have honorable motives. It's very, very dangerous to imagine that you can be a leader and people are not very sure they can trust you. They tell you something, they don't believe you will take that to the bigger group. You also need to be outer focused. What does that mean? That while having your own convictions, which all of us have, and you have your own beliefs, you must be able to tune into the mood of others that you are representing to energize their motivational drives. That means you are out of focus. You don't say, but this is what I think. No, you are open enough to hear what others are saying. And of course, you must be performance, not conformance oriented. By doing this, you enable people to understand why the future state is worth putting in all that hard work that the plan will require and enduring all that disruption. That means you are a performance oriented, not just conformance. Hey, we don't want to tell people that way. They'll not be happy. No. Then you are likely to ever bring change. For you to be a person who will lead change, you must believe in the change yourself. You must also be politically astute. Not political to mean you are a politician, but you as a change leader must react to the political climate of the organization and tune the play to match the mood of the organization as the changes work through. This means being political but not giving in to political expediency. So we are not talking about politicians the way in Africa. We are talking about somebody who is able to read the mood of the organization and still keep to where he is going, but with an understanding of where the mood is. You also need to be a change leader. You also need to be persistent and determined. Not somebody who gives up very easily. We don't want to somebody who will let the software project or program constraints and considerations veer them off course. If you know where you are going, despite the challenges along the way, you are able to go there. Are you that type of a person? Then you can help us change to the direction of the plan. You also need to be quick-witted. There are people who require a long time to think. You are unlikely to be a good change leader. You need to be someone who can think quickly, quick-witted, and able to comprehend the issues that may arise from a variety of disciplines, even if they are not masters of any of the disciplines being used during the life of the change program. To be quick-witted means you're able to grasp the main issues. You don't have the details, but you have people you can rely on to give you details. This is mostly to be able to ask intelligent questions and evaluate the answers you are receiving. So we are not suggesting you are an expert in everything, but be quick-witted means you know which questions to ask. Are you a change agent? Then you must be convincing so that you can get commitment to the group that of the objectives that you are selling, so that they can fully support the objectives and try to subvert them to meet their own specific, and not try to subvert them to meet their own specific objectives. You must be convincing. You must also be creative and be able to come up with solutions to obstacles and new challenges, because they'll be there. You are clear about your strategic intent, but there are many barriers. You are not the type who give up. You are creative enough to see the other ways of going over or under or around this particular barrier. And you are able then to orchestrate such activities so that the object and program do not have to be altered. This means learning the tricky skill of being a part, but yet being part of the action. You also must be self-motivating. How can we call you the change agent and you yourself need to be motivated? You are the source of motivation. So you must be self-motivating yourself. Especially when things are getting bad. If there is anxiety by the whole group and everybody gets discouraged, you are the one to motivate them. So you yourself must be self-motivated if you're in charge of change. And of course, you must be motivational by connecting with emotions of their followers. And I think it will be important to understand that people are calling it these days emotional intelligence. Ability to connect with the emotions of the people you are working with. Unless the leader is able to enthuse their followers with their vision, it is unlikely that they will carry the majority of the people with them to wherever the strategic intent is. So, as we finish this section, what are the 8 steps to changing your organization or your business? Review all existing processes against the new strategic direction, especially to ensure that the interrelationship between existing processes are understood in terms of knock-on effects. In other words, in order to go to where we agree to go, you must review the whole organization. Don't put new wineskin. Don't put new wine in old wineskins. They will burst, Jesus told us. So review how things have been done in the past. Gain management agreement to the necessary process changes. Don't just go on your own. Get the center and the leadership to back you. And then sell the need to all those who eventually have to implement and use them. Number 3, always study to find what is the best practice. Look for example of good processes within or outside your organization rather than just update the present ones. It's not often that organizations re-engineer their processes, and it therefore makes sense to choose future processes carefully and well. So if you are doing a change, try to look for what the best current practice from outside, even from outside the organization. Then develop the criteria and measures by which the effectiveness and processes will be judged to prevent the new re-engineering processes falling foul or poor specification. So it will be important for us to have clear how we really know that we are actually achieving the change we wanted. And number 5, revise existing processes by developing, refining, or redefining the processes needed for the new strategic direction being taken in the organization. Only after that should you install the revised new process, because you have understood from where you are coming from to where you are going, and then now you can start publicizing your presence to all staff and especially those using the new systems. And then slowly remove all outdated processes. Now you will be a new organization. You know, as you try to change, you could find that people are resisting change. You don't condemn them. Try to understand why people find it difficult to change. Sometimes it's because of lack of conviction that the change is needed or necessary. People fear about the change. So they are not being bad. They simply lack conviction that we are not doing well okay. So one of the things to find out, if you are going to change, what's wrong with the current one? Why change something that is working? So it is your responsibility as a change leader to help the person. Don't condemn them. But sometimes the resistance is lack of respect and trust. People are suspicious of the changes, especially of those introducing them. If people don't trust you and you are trying to come up with a change, they'll resist. And all because they resist you. Not the change, but they're resisting you. But sometimes it's fear of failure. This one is working. I know these other ones, the success could be greater, but you might also fail. Fear of failure will make people resist change. And they fear they will not be able to adjust to the changes required. And some, the reason they are resisting is loss of status or job security. Technology alters powers, bases, and eliminates some jobs, as an example. So as you are changing your organization, maybe I had a title. Now you are taking away my title. In the new changes, I can't see where my title is. I will resist the change. But sometimes it's lack of tact or poor timing. You did not time the change well, and you did not present it tactfully. The timing of new system is important. So people are resisting, not because they don't see where you are going, but they don't like the timing. But of course, the thing you have to understand for all of us, we all fear the unknown. So you must try to describe the future as clear as possible. And I think that will be something that you need to agree on. How do you overcome resistance? Educate and communicate. That's key. Get everybody who is going to be involved in the plan to understand. Get everybody to participate, and that's what you have been emphasizing, and feel involved. Then support them in their area of weakness, facilitation and support. But then sometimes you need to negotiate. Don't just force things. Negotiate until there's agreement. Then establish the direction very clearly. Align the stakeholders through communication. Every stakeholder being involved. Then motivate and inspire the people to go in the new path. Listen effectively to suggestions, comments, and issues relating to the new system. Don't just ignore people. This is the way we are going, I don't want to hear. No. Please agree with the people on workable timelines. We could talk about how to measure success. I've mentioned a bit of that. I've taken longer, but maybe I should still spend a bit of time on this. In the introduction, I talked about the importance of strategic context setting, and I talked about the vision, mission, and objectives. Then I talked about the importance of assessing and investigations, and investigations into who we are. Then I talked about strategic reflection, and I want to say a few things about it. When we reach that level of strategic reflection, we shall seek to identify gaps in where we are operating, identify what are the gaps, identify pillars, objectives, targets, and critical success factors that will help us close the gaps, and identify alternative causes, strategic alternatives to our objectives, in achieving our objectives. And then that will help us now to go to strategic preparation. which is documentation of choosing best alternatives. Because you, under 3, we have come with various alternative methods. Under 4, we agree this is the alternative we are taking. Establishing of supporting business plans or organization plans, agreeing KPIs, activities, and accompanying budgets. And then we'll be developing corporate way of measuring the balanced scorecard and assigning responsibility to who will do what in the plan. Then under monitoring, we'll agree how we shall be measuring performance, how we shall be scanning the environment, and how we shall be reviewing our achievements. So the key issues of strategic thinking, which you now need to, I hope I have forced you to think through, is what is our business? What's our business? What are we involved in as an organization? Put it differently. What are our key concerns? I hope you have already put it in the questionnaire. And then the question is, how different are we from somebody else in the same mission, in the same area? What is our vision? What is our mission? Where do we want to be? Let's say in 5 years. What do we want for our organization's program in terms of the specific objectives that we have? What are the critical factors in the internal environment of our organization? What are the significant factors in our external environment? What are the key issues? I want to drop this, and I'm now open to discussion. So it is question time.